The aim of this project was to develop bite-sized videos for students to check areas that they have historically struggled on. So we're looking to have videos from 90 seconds to 2 or 3 minutes long.
My name is Dinara Wormsley.
I'm May.
Shaw by the Hook.
Vanessa.
Karen.
Sarah Horsfall.
Tom Osborne.
My name's Louise and I've been an AAT member for just over a year.
We came up with the idea of having students present them themselves, as we wanted it to be a bit more authentic, a bit more relatable and different to anything we've done before.
I've never done anything like auto cue before, but everyone was really friendly, and once you got going it was fine.
The filming's really straightforward actually. You had your script in front of you, everybody talked you through what kind of energy they wanted from you.
Nervous but exciting.
The students have been really good. It's been brilliant to help them through what might have been a really daunting experience, but they've been really enthusiastic to help us, and it has made it all really worthwhile.
I've got to do things that I haven't thought I'd be doing before, testing myself in a different way, which I found really fun.
I really enjoyed meeting new people for a start. I feel confident in what I'm saying.
Today's experience has been fabulous.
I was a bit worried, my confidence isn't great, and I was worried that I wouldn't be able to do it. But now that all the filming has finished, everybody put you at ease, I feel brilliant about it.
The students have been amazing, really impressed with quite how confident they were, especially some of them who came in and were a bag of nerves, and as soon as we got them in front of the camera they just took to it like a duck to water. It was amazing.
Meeting the students has been absolutely brilliant. Sometimes we don't appreciate how impactful AAT's work is on them. To hear their experiences and their stories, we understand clearly how our work impacts their lives and shapes their careers.
From videos to practice assessments to real-life scenarios, we've got all the resources you need no matter what your learning style. and now we've put them all in one place, making them easy to find and giving you a way to manage your studies more effectively. Our new study support not only organises all your resources by unit level and type, but also allows you to bring in support resources from elsewhere. So whether your training provider has excellent resources or you've got a favourite blogger you follow for technical tips, you can now link them all to our study support service, creating your own personalised library of go-to resources. Not only that, but with new features like being able to add reminders, you'll be sure not to overlook any of the key resources ahead of your assessment. You can also add personal review notes, so you'll know which ones you found useful and which ones to go back to if you need to brush up on a certain topic. So no more wasting time going between sites looking for study support resources and trying to remember which ones work for you. Check out your new study support today and start organising your study plans for tomorrow. Go to aat.org.uk/study support for more information.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us in this afternoon's Facebook Live study support session. My name's Jo and I work in the online community team here at AAT, and we've also got James as usual. He'll be helping us make sure this all runs smoothly as possible.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us.
So today we're going to be joined by Emma Grant. She's an AAT tutor at Osborne Training, and she'll be going through a study session on the high-low methods from the Elements of Costing module on the foundation level. So with assessments now being reopened, how many of you have sat an assessment? We'd love to hear from you. Pop your comments into the comments box. Before we go over to Emma, you may have seen the video we've just shown on the Learning Portal. The Lifelong Learning Portal is a new way to manage and maximise your studies and has lots of helpful resources presented in a much more organised way. This allows you to not only to access content as before, but to use new features to plan and reflect on your learning. You can now set study deadlines for any resource and then note what you found interesting or helpful when they're complete. One of my favourite changes is that you can now grab a link to a third-party resources. This could be your favourite blog or online study video, just like this one, and then you can add it to your plan as a new learning activity. There's so much more that the Learning Portal has to offer you, so if you haven't checked it out already, head over to aat.org.uk/learning-portal. We'll pop this into the comments box. Or you can just log into your MyAT account and type Learning Portal into the search bar. Join our AAT discussion forums to join and create conversations on anything from advice on how to answer a sample assessment question, career opportunities, all the way through to buying or selling used AAT textbooks. You can create your own discussion topic and get really valuable input from other students and accounting professionals. It's super easy to sign up. Just go to forums.aat.org.uk and click on register at the top of the screen. Again, we'll pop this link into the comment box. All you need to do is enter your email address and the reason for why you'd like to join the forum, and you'll likely be approved within 24 business hours. All right, so let's get back to the study session. Let's bring Emma in. Hi Emma, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
How have you and Osborne Training been coping the last few months during the lockdown period?
Yeah, so not too bad. We've done okay. We've been lucky that we were already in a position delivering online training to be able to bring our classroom students across to the online sessions.
Okay.
Lucky.
Has Osborne now got their assessments back up and running now?
Yes, yeah, they have as of the 1st of July, so about a week across all of their centres. So we saw in the slides there are different where our centres are based. So they're all up and running now for assessments.
Brilliant, that's great to hear. Do you also want to give our viewers a quick rundown of Osborne Training as well as what your role is there, Emma?
Yeah, absolutely, lovely, thank you. So yeah, we saw in the slides Osborne Training offering a range of different accounting courses, but especially the AAT across all 3 levels, so levels 2, 3 and 4, for both classroom-based students and non-classroom. And I use the term non-classroom because we offer 2 different options for distance learning. So we've got one route for what we call our online learners. So they have access to pre-recorded video lessons and live online interactive revision classes, as well as textbooks and additional paper-based resources. And then we also have distance learners who don't have the video access, but they do have access to all of the textbooks and paper-based resources. Both options are available through what we call our virtual learning campus, and everything there is broken down per module, per level. Osborne Training, we are partnered with Osborne Books, which I expect a lot of people are familiar with. So we use the Osborne Books resources here at Osborne Training. As I mentioned, we've got our classroom-based centres in London, Watford and Birmingham, as we saw on the slide there. So I've been an AAT tutor for a little over about 4.5 years, and I'm the AAT tutor at Osborne for the last about 2.5 years. I work from home, so I have been, I guess, lucky. With lockdown, I've not had a huge adjustment to make. So I've been set up working from home already. As I say, running the live revision classes for the online learners, as well as dealing with any queries that students can have, might have, so they can email them through to a central point to be picked up by our tutors. My background, however, is local government finance. So I've spent the first 20 years of my working life working for my city council, where I live here, and that's where I achieved my AAT, my other public sector accounting qualifications, and all my knowledge through there. Finishing up as a systems accountant, we implemented a new finance system there, and part of my role for that was training all the new users and putting together all the training manuals, and that's where I found I actually really enjoyed the training side of things, and sort of started steering in that direction, and then eventually I took voluntary redundancy to move into teaching, and the rest is history, as they say.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, so that's me and Osborne.
Thank you. Thanks, Emma. Thanks for that. Okay, so Emma will now deliver her study support session. As usual, any questions you have regarding this topic that you'd like Emma to answer, just pop these into the comments box. This is a really good opportunity to get your questions answered by a very qualified AAT expert. James will keep a record of any questions that come in, and we'll try and get these answered at the end of the session. Excuse me. It should also be asking you to join in with some working out, some questions throughout the session, so get a pen and paper ready. Right, let's get the study session started. Emma, please, can you start sharing your presentation when you're ready?
Yeah.
So to reiterate, any questions that you have, please pop them into the comments box. It is a really, really good opportunity to get any questions that you have on this topic, so elements of costing. She'll be able to answer as many as she can, and if we're not able to, we'll try and get some answers back to you as well. So again, don't be shy, pop those comments in. Right, I'll hand you over.
Sorry, Emma, I cut Joe off a bit there, but we're ready to go now.
Oh, okay. So you can have fantastic. So hopefully my screen is showing now. So yeah, as we said, we're looking at the high-low method specifically within the elements of costing module. So the order of events for the session, we'll have a quick look at the background of our cost classifications, so you can see where the high-low method fits within the elements of costing module. Okay, we'll have a quick look at the other types of cost behaviour, and then specifically semi-variable costs, which is where our high-low method comes in. And then we will just have a quick look at the examiner's report at the end, so you can see where this calculation fits into the module and fits into the exam overall. Okay. So our cost classifications are broken down into 4 separate groups. So first off, we have cost classification by element. So that's where we are grouping our costs according to whether materials, labour or expenses. We then can also classify our costs by function, and that is between production and non-production. And then our non-production costs are split down further and grouped under those 3 categories there. So administration, selling and distribution, and finance. Okay. Then our third grouping is by nature. Okay, so that's the split between direct costs and indirect costs. Okay, and just to highlight that for you, look out for this terminology in the exam. Okay, so element, function, and nature. That will help with answering the questions. They will quite often be worded based on cost by element, cost by function, or cost by nature. Okay. Our fourth cost classification then is behaviour. Okay, and that's what we are looking at today. So cost behaviour then looks at the way that costs alter with changes in the level of output or activity. Okay. And there are 3 main ways that costs may behave. Remember, this is the level 2 syllabus. So for this syllabus, these are our 3 main ways that costs might behave. So we've got fixed costs, variable costs, and semi-variable costs. Okay. So our total fixed costs do not alter when the level of output or activity changes. So, for example, our factory rent will remain the same each month, regardless of the number of items that might be produced. Okay, so a car manufacturer that pays £10,000 a month in rent for the factory will still pay £10,000 each month, regardless of whether it produces 50 cars a month or 500 cars a month. Okay, not to be confused with fixed costs per unit, which will change. Okay, that will come up in a slightly different type of exam question. So today we're just looking at the fixed costs. Okay. Then we have our total variable costs, and these do change in proportion to the level of output or activity. Okay, so for example, if our car manufacturer that we just looked at doubles the number of cars each month that it produces, then the variable costs associated with that will also increase. So let's say the sheet metal required to make one car costs £500. Therefore, if our car manufacturer produces 50 cars, it will cost them £25,000. Okay, 50 cars times £500 per car. For the sheet metal, if they produce 250 cars, it will cost them £125,000. Okay, so that'll be 250 cars and so on. Note that the variable cost per unit stays the same. Okay, so that's our variable costs. Our semi-variable costs contain both a fixed element and a variable element. Okay, so for example, telephone usage from the factory, we'll be familiar with this from our own personal telephone bills as well. So you could have a flat rate for the landline into the building. This will be our fixed element at £30 a month. That's going to be the same each time. And then you will have an additional amount per call. So for example, 30 pence per call, this will be the variable element. So if our factory made 50 phone calls last month, how would we calculate this? So it would be fixed costs £30. We would then got the variable costs element of our 50 phone calls times 30 pence per call gives us £45 total cost. Okay, so you can see from this example how our fixed costs and variable costs added together to give us our total cost. Okay, so that's our semi-variable costs. However, in the exam, we are more likely than not going to be presented with the total cost and then have to calculate the fixed and variable elements from that. Okay, this is where our high-low method calculation comes in. This is what you need to memorize, this calculation and formula for the exam. Okay, so we'll go through how this works in theory, and then we will put some figures to our theory and you can have a go at some of the calculations. Okay, so you will be presented with two pairs of figures. Okay, total costs and activity level. The activity level is usually given as a number of units. One pair of figures will be high, the other pair of figures will be low. This is our starting point. Okay. So the first step, first part of our calculation is to calculate the variable cost per unit. Okay. So step one.
Emma, sorry, sorry to bump your butt in. Your screen sharing pop-up that says hide, that's just covering up the variable cost per unit part of the presentation.
Sorry.
So if you can just hit that hide button for me.
Hide. Oh,
lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I wasn't
no worries,
sure if that was okay.
Visible, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that's the important bit, the answer, yeah. Yeah, so step one of our calculation then is to calculate the difference between the highest and lowest cost and calculate the difference between the highest and lowest number of units. Then step two is to divide the difference of the cost by the difference of the number of units. Okay, so in other words, as you can see there, highest cost minus lowest cost divided by the highest number of units minus the lowest number of units gives us our variable cost per unit. Okay, I'll just pause and give you a minute to write that down. It will be up on the later slides, but you might just want to make a note of it now. Okay. Okay, so that is calculating our variable cost per unit. That's the first bit, the first part of the high-low method calculation. Then we can go on to calculate the fixed costs element. Okay, so step 3 then will be to select one of the pairs of figures and use the variable cost per unit to calculate the variable element, okay, which will be variable cost per unit times the number of those units from that set of figures. Then step 4, using the cost figure related to the number of units figure in step 3, take away the variable cost from the total cost, which will leave us with the fixed cost element. So in other words, there is your calculation. Total costs minus our variable costs, which is the variable cost per unit, times the number of units to give us our total fixed cost. Okay, so make a note of that. And then step 5, double check your figures. Okay, so if you use the high figures for our calculations there, we can double check our answers by using the low set of figures to reach the same answer for our total fixed cost, and vice versa. Okay, so if you use the low figures, you can double check using the high figures. But I cannot emphasize enough just double checking your figures and your calculations. Okay, so as I say, let's put some numbers to this theory, then this will hopefully all start to make a little bit more sense. So we'll work through this first example together. So if we have a semi-variable cost that totals £98,000 when the activity level is 10,000 units, and £178,000 when the activity level is 20,000 units. We need to calculate the variable cost per unit and then calculate the total fixed cost. So remember our formula here, highest cost minus lowest cost divided by the highest number of units minus the lowest number of units to give us our variable cost per unit. So you can see our highest cost is £178,000 minus our lowest cost, £98,000. And our highest number of units is 20,000 units minus our lowest number of units of 10,000 units. Okay, I'll just move on to the next slide. There's our figures within our formula. Okay, so we have £80,000, which is the difference between our highest and lowest cost, divided by 10,000 units, which is the difference between our highest and lowest number of units, gives us £8 variable cost per unit. Okay, so that's the first bit. Then once we have calculated our variable cost per unit, we can go on to calculate our fixed cost. So I'm using the higher set of figures for this example. Okay, so our higher total cost is £178,000. Less our variable costs. You can see we are then multiplying the cost per unit with the highest number of units. So we've used highest cost and highest number of units, giving us £160,000 there and giving us fixed costs of £18,000. Okay, so total costs less variable costs equals our fixed costs. So then, if we used our lower set of figures, we can double check our fixed costs still equals £18,000. So now we've got the £98,000 lowest cost using the 10,000 units lowest number of units multiplied by £8 variable cost per unit. £80,000, we have got £18,000. Does anybody have any questions before I let you all have a go at doing some calculations?
Okay, if we just give it a second for the stream to catch up so that everyone can
Thank you.
come up with any questions that they might have at this point. So the formulas, I imagine some people, I know I would, struggle trying to remember that.
Yes.
When you sit in the exam, do you have those any help or tips like that, or do you have to have that memorised when you go in?
You have to memorise this formula for the exam, which is why I've sort of keep repeating it on the slides in the hope that it will, sort of sink in. But it comes with practice. It is a fiddly calculation, but it's one of those things. Once you've got it, it's there. But it takes a bit of practice and repetition.
And I guess that's the key, is it? Just repetition, trying to get it in your head. Because it doesn't look like the sort of thing that you can come up with a clever little mnemonic or something like that. It's something you just need to learn.
So whether some students might have, we all learn in different ways. Some students might have their own quirky way of remembering this in particular. I must admit, I've not come up with something myself. But whether anybody else has, if they have, then please feel free to share that. I try not to confuse students with my own mnemonics, because sometimes my logic isn't the same as someone else's. Is the other thing.
Okay, so we've got a few people saying that they've got it. Thank you. So they're happy to carry on. We've got Abby asking where she can find some high-low practice questions, which we're about to do right now, I believe.
Yeah.
So keep watching, Abby. We're going to get one now, and obviously there's the on our learning portal. There's also some practice questions there.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. So yes, here is a question for you all to have a go at. Okay, so you've got semi-variable cost total 78,500 when the activity level is 10,000 units, and £143,500 when the activity level is 20,000 units. Okay, so have a go at calculating the variable cost per unit and then the total fixed costs. As a reminder, there's the first bit of the formula for you.
Okay, if we encourage everyone to try and give it a go, and give us your answers. So I guess at this point we want to know what your the first part of the equation, the answer to those two, right?
So yes, I've got the answers to the variable cost per unit and fixed costs on the next slide. Yeah. So if you have a go at doing the calculation in full. If you want to check that you've got the variable cost per unit correct before you move on to the second part of the question, then please pop that in the comments box and I can confirm that for you. Okay.
Okay, I've got a couple of answers coming in. They're giving me one figure so far. Give it a few more minutes for people to find the answers. Okay, yeah, so they're sending them through in separate numbers. Aga's just asked if this is level 3. This is most applicable to level 2 students. That's right, isn't it, Emma?
This is a level 2 module, but yes, this will come up again at level 3 and level 4.
So a good revision.
The high-low method is used throughout, yes. Yeah. If you're studying any of the management accounting modules at the other levels, then this is applicable, yeah.
Okay, so I've got quite a few answers coming in now, and I can't see anybody going the different way, which is good. So pretty much everyone has gone £6.50, which I guess is the cost per unit, right? And then we've got 13,500.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so there is our solution on screen. So £6.50 variable cost per unit. And I've used the higher figures to work out my fixed costs there, £13,500. Okay. And also, have I done the... Yeah, so there is the double check. So any of you that might have used the lower figures instead, you can see we've still got £13,500 for our fixed costs. Excellent. Okay, so moving the question on a step then. So what you might have also in an exam question, once you've done that initial high-low calculation, and there's a reminder of our answers, you might have to complete a table like this, where you've got 3 different sets of output levels, so 14,000 units, 16,000 units, 18,000 units, and you'll need to complete the table. So calculate the variable costs, the fixed costs, and total costs. So I'll let you have a couple of minutes to have a go at this one. Okay. Clue, we have already calculated the fixed costs. This isn't a trick question. Okay, so we've got our 13,500 fixed costs, so you can complete that column straight away. Then it's a case of calculating the variable costs and then the total.
So I'm right in thinking that fixed costs, you just put 13,500 in every single one of those 3 columns. Yes. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
See, absolutely. I'm learning too.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, yeah. So if people could comment when they get to this point, the variable costs and the total costs. If you could do it by each line.
Yes. Yeah. So or just say
lowest to highest. Yeah.
When they finished, and then I can show the answers. It's a lot of typing otherwise to put in the comments box. But I don't want to move on too quickly if people are still doing the calculations.
We asked earlier what assessment people were sitting next. We've got a fair few people saying that they're doing elements of costing, so this is very timely. So good luck to everybody that's going to be sitting that soon.
Excellent. Yes, absolutely. Good luck.
Okay, I've got an answer here from Sarah. We've got 91,000 and 104,500, which I believe is going to be the 14,000 units. Is that right?
Yep, absolutely.
And Harmon has got the other variable costs. He's gone 104,000 for the second one and 117,000 for the third one.
Yes. Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. Well done, everyone.
Okay, so there is confirmation of the answers there and the workings for the variable costs. Okay, so number of units times our variable cost per unit. Okay, so here's another question for you. So semi-variable cost totals £147,150 when the activity level is 4,500 units and totals £206,350,000 when the activity level is 8,200 units. You need to calculate the variable cost per unit, calculate the total fixed costs, and then complete this table below. So calculate the total costs at the activity levels shown in the table there. Okay. Remember, you need to carry out your high-low calculations first before you can complete the table. Okay.
Okay, again, if you just want to comment with some of the answers, just let me know which one it applies to, whether it's the 5, the 6 or 7,000 units. And we can double check those answers with Emma as they come in.
Yep, lovely. Yeah, thank you. If anyone wants to check their variable cost per unit first as well before they go too far with the rest of the calculations, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, we're starting to get the variable costs coming in now. I've got 2 answers and they both match, which is always a good sign.
Yeah. Excellent.
Just give it a second for some more people to come in. Yep. So pretty much everyone is agreeing at £16.
Yes.
The variable cost per unit.
Yep, excellent. Good.
So now we're looking for the fixed cost, is that right?
Yes.
And when the students actually find themselves working in industry, is this something that they have to work out a lot, or is this something that's actually just managed mostly by software now, but it's just good they have an understanding of it so they can find out when any problems are?
Probably yes and yes.
Right.
Okay. Certainly, obviously, always need to know the theory of how to do these calculations, even if it is carried out by software, because you need to know that what's coming out of the software looks correct. And obviously, if you've got that theoretical knowledge of how to do these calculations as well, then that's obviously going to be a huge benefit. Yeah, it depends which industry you're working in. So this is probably more applicable to manufacturing. for example.
Yeah.
I must admit, when I was in local government, it's not something that I would have got too involved in. I was more on the financial accounting side, but as we know, this is part of the management accounting suite of modules, if you like, across the levels 2, 3 and 4. So certainly, yes, if you're going down the management accounting route, then you would find yourself using these in real life to help with budgeting and this, that and the other.
Okay, so we've got quite a few answers coming through now. So Kay has said the fixed cost is 75,150.
Yes, excellent, well done.
There's a fair few there that match that.
Okay.
Carola said 80,000. Is there any reason why you think that would? No obvious reason why that answer would come up.
That's the variable costs.
Right.
For the 5,000 units.
Got you.
Shall I pop the answers? We've got quite a few answers come through now.
Yes, we do.
To
Yeah.
the next slide. Yeah. Okay. So well done if you got all of these figures correct. So yes, £16 variable cost per unit and fixed cost £75,150. Hopefully you got all of those answers correct.
I realise now I should have asked for the answers beforehand. So then I can at least
From me?
Yeah, so I can at least seem like I know what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, Joe's got the slides, so we can certainly send the slides out afterwards if anybody wants them. That's not a problem. Okay, so one more question then. Changed it slightly into exam format. Okay, so this is more typical exam style question. Mostly because I wanted you to note the change in layout and presentation of the figures, okay? But we do have all the information required to complete this question. So literally, as it says there, complete the table below by inserting all costs for activity levels of 5,000 and 10,500 units, okay? 2 columns in the middle is your high-low costs and activity level information. The dark green squares are greyed out. You're not expected to complete those boxes in the exam. So we want the information for 5,000 units and 10,500 units. Okay. Again, if you want to just double check your variable cost per unit before you go too far, that's fine.
So again, yeah, if you can type in your answers in the comments and we'll get those double checked. Yeah, a few people are asking for the slides, and Joe at the end of the session will explain how to get hold of those. But they will be available, no problem. Are there a lot of different layouts in the exam that their students need to prepare for, or does it tend to follow this format?
Generally speaking, I never like to give a definitive answer when it comes to exam layout and presentation.
It's a smart choice, yeah.
Yeah. Generally speaking, yes, this is the layout. So if we see a question along these lines, then this tells us, right, we need to use high-low method to help with calculating these answers.
Great, so we're getting in some answers, and again, everyone is agreeing. So Arona is said 3.5, so it's £3.50 per cost per unit.
Yes, yeah, 350 variable cost per unit. Excellent.
As everyone else has got, so well done everyone. And Sarah has said 1,500 fixed ?
Yes, correct.
Well
Fixed
done,
costs,
Sarah.
£1,500. It's a little bit lower than we were probably expecting it to be for a fixed costs figure. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Getting more of those fixed cost answers coming in now, and yes, and everyone's agreeing at 1,500, which is great.
Excellent.
And Sarah again's coming with the totals of 19,000 and 38,250.
Yes. Fantastic. Excellent. So I move on to the answer slide? You think we've got quite a few answers?
Yeah, I think it's okay to move on.
Yeah. Okay, so confirmation then, including the workings. So we had £3.50 variable cost per unit, total fixed costs of £1,500. Okay, so we know we can pop our fixed costs straight into the table there. Number of units times variable cost per unit. So we've got total cost £19,000 at 5,000 units and £38,250 at 10,500 units. Okay, so well done if you got all of those figures correct as well.
Yeah, we've got quite a few of those come through, so well done everyone. We've got a question from Mal Gazita asking if we can do this again, but what she can do is you can actually rewind this video now if you'd like to watch it again to if you've missed any important parts, or after this presentation it will be available on our Facebook page, so you can always rewatch the whole thing again. So that would probably be the best bet.
Okay, lovely, thank you. And we can send her out the slides as well, so she's got the theory written down. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so to round off then the session, as I mentioned earlier, this high-low method will occur throughout your AAT studies. Okay, so for those of you looking to go on to levels 3 and 4, all of the management accounting modules, so there's one at level 3 and 2 at level 4, the high-low method will come up again. So if you can get it now, get that good understanding now, which it looks like most of you have, then this is going to give you a great advantage as you progress through your studies. Okay, and then to round off, and I'm really pleased I've included this because it sounds like a lot of you are ready to sit your exam soon. I've just included an extract from the examiner's report for task 6, which is where the high-low method crops up. As you can see at the bottom of the slide though, please do read the examiner's report in full, okay, as part of your exam revision. It's on the lifelong learning portal. And when I was revising for all of my exams, I always used to read the examiner's report. I think they're really useful. Okay.
We covered the examiner's report last week for the I think maybe the week before, but last about synoptic. So just to let everyone know that if you go to the Life Learning portal and type in examiner's report, you'll just see all the modules, because there's an examiner's report for every single one in Life Learning portal. So you just need to go to elements of costing, look at all the resources in there, and one of those will be the examiner's report, and that's how you find it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. So I've literally, as I say, just an extract from task 6 because that is relevant to this session. So I just told you where the high-low method is going to be examined within the exam. So I will leave that on there just for you to have a quick read. And then if anyone's got any further questions, please send them through.
And in your experience, Emma, for elements of costing at least, do the pitfalls remain the same year after year?
Sadly,
yeah.
Yes. So this is since this AQ 16 syllabus. This is the third examiner's report that I've seen, 2017, 2018, 2019. Yes, and a lot of the same weaknesses do tend to occur, which is a real shame. Not sure why, but yeah, that's why I always try and encourage my students to read the examiner's report. And the sessions that I do at Osborne, I do incorporate the examiner's report into those sessions for that reason.
Do you know how long this assessment is?
I think it's an hour and a half, 90 minutes.
And I guess it's very important, right, because it's a very number heavy module, that you just take the time to make sure you're typing it incorrectly and double checking.
Yes.
Your answers
absolutely.
as you go through.
Yeah. Reading every question carefully, which is something else that crops up in the examiner's reports. But when you take your seat in the exam, do take the time to just read that front screen instructions before you click on Start Assessment. Because remember, your exam time doesn't start counting down until you actually click Start Assessment. So take the time to sit there, calm some nerves, take a few deep breaths, read those on-screen instructions. You might have been skim reading them already as you've been doing your practice assessments, but do sit and read them carefully and properly, and thoroughly. So as I say, the exam time doesn't actually start until you click on Start Assessment. So use that time just to, as I say, calm a few nerves, take a few deep breaths before you actually start the exam. Yeah. And answer everything. Okay, don't leave anything blank in the exam. Okay.
Yeah, no points will be taken away for an incorrect answer, but you obviously don't get the chance of getting any points
Absolutely.
if you leave it blank. Yeah.
Yeah, you may just pick up a handful of bonus points. Mm-hmm.
So I've got a question here that I don't quite understand. It says, please can we look at the predicted cost of next order? Is that a different way of accounting costs?
Yes, I'm not absolutely sure what that question
relates to. No problem. So if Faz could send us a bit more detail what he's after, it's probably unlikely we'll cover it here, but we can definitely look at getting something else to covered in another Facebook Live session.
Yep.
Okay, so we haven't got any more questions. Sarah says the screen's a bit blurred, but Sarah, if you try reloading the page, the internet connection hopefully will improve and you'll get it back again. Again, as I said, you can watch this back afterwards on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/yourAAT/videos. So if you can't see it right now, when the video is fully encoded and up on Facebook, I'm sure it'll be fine. We're not getting any more questions. So Sarah said thank you very much all.
Okay.
And I always take that to mean you've done a very good job at explaining everything particularly well, because no one seems to be confused. Yep, Dina saying thank you, Habib saying thank you. So lots of thank yous coming in.
Lovely.
So lovely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time, Emma. Right, let's move back over to Jo.
Thank you.
And another thank you from me. Thank you, Emma, for joining us today. That was a really great interactive session. And a big thank you to Osborne Training. If you'd like a copy of Emma's slides, you can get hold of these in the link in the comments. We've got a super cool thing which we've now added onto our Facebook Live comments. So if you want to get hold of Emma's slides and to also subscribe to our future live events, just type subscribe into the comments. What will happen is a message will pop up in your Facebook Messenger and you'll be asked to choose which study support qualification level you're interested in. If you want to do just level 2, then just pick that one. If you want all levels, then just select all of those and you'll be notified of all of our up and coming Facebook Live sessions. Just to let you know, we'll be joined again by Joanna Rogers next Thursday, who will be delivering a session on the professional synoptic assessment, concentrating on the budgetary reporting, so which is really useful for the budgeting and PDSY assessment. So look out for our Get Reminder post or put subscribe into our comments. If you want to watch this video again or any of our other study support videos, head over to facebook.com/your AAT/videos. That's all from us today. Keep your eyes out for our Get Reminder post. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.